The holidays are coming. Find a gift for someone special with jewelry from Blue Nile. Right now, Blue Nile is offering special Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Save up to 50% on the season's most stunning trends. Blue Nile offers an endless selection of bold gold styles, gemstone jewelry, and classic diamond pieces. And now, for a limited time, get 36 months special financing on minimum purchases of $1,000. Restrictions apply. See BlueNile.com for details. That's BlueNile.com.
In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
This episode is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. It's snowing again, and that wind chill is killer. But you're not worried about that because you shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection. It's warmth perfected with tiny gold dots that reflect your body heat inside and protect you from the cold outside. No snow or chilly temps can stop you now. Go out anyway. Shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection now at Columbia.com/infinity.
Exotica, the nation's largest adult event, is back and bigger than ever. Exotica, presented by My Free Cams, returns to the Dulles Expo Center December 1st through 3rd. Meet 250 stars, shop 150 vendors, see live seminars and stage shows. VIP ticket holders get lots of free stuff and access to after parties. Ladies are free on Friday. Tickets on sale at exoticaexpo.com. That's exoticaexpo.com. Catch the biggest Exotica yet, December 1st through 3rd.
Good morning and welcome to this episode of the Ad Drop Podcast. We continue our spin through the world of college sports. And please be joined by the head men's basketball coach at Appalachian State University, Dustin Kerns. Good morning, Coach Kerns. How are you?
I'm doing great, Terrance. How are you?
Not bad. Now, growing up in Kingsport, Tennessee, what was the athletic culture like?
Great. Sports region, certainly I played at Dobbins Bennett, which is all time in high school wins program, but you had Science Hill. When I grew up there, East Tennessee State was a top 15 program and, beat Arizona in the NCAA tournament. So just, a lot of good sports growing up there.
It seems as though Dobbins is like a pathway to leadership and coaching, because if you look at it, there's Jim Roberts, who coached University of North Carolina baseball. There's Mark Landis, who's a major general in the United States Army right now. He graduated Dobbins forever ago. What is it about that region that just brings out the leadership qualities of its residents?
You know what? I didn't even know that about before you just said that. And so I don't know. I think that, and there's been a lot of professional athletes come out of Dobbins Bennett, a lot of pro football players, Gerald Sensabaugh, I'm leaving Daniel Kilgore, I'm leaving probably a few out, right? But it's a good question. I guess I haven't really had a chance to ever think about that.
Now, when did you know that coaching would be your path?
I think that, I don't know, every guy that grew up playing the game wants to keep playing forever, right? But there becomes a realization that the ball's going to stop bouncing. For me, it stopped bouncing, earlier than I wanted. But I loved the game and I wanted to be around the game. And so probably in high school, I realized that, at some point I'd really like to get into coaching. And then just originally I wanted to be a high school coach. And then you go to college and you get around college basketball and you fall in love with the college atmosphere.
What was the first summer like for you as the director of basketball operations at Tennessee Tech? This was about 20 years ago.
Yeah, busy. I tell you, busy. I don't know if I really, quite understood In fact, I know I didn't, everything that goes into running a college basketball program. Fortunately, in that role, I was able to do a lot of different stuff, whether it's camps or team travel. And I think that that's a role that everybody should experience at some point. I really believe that. And I think that, when you become a head coach, you understand everything that goes into a program, from just an equipment, from day-to-day operations, from team meals and so that gives you a really good perspective. And I really think that everybody that gets in the coaching should have at least a year as a director of basketball operations.
A grad assistant at the University of Tennessee, what did Coach Peterson show you as far as the world of coaching that you didn't know beforehand?
Yeah, and a lot of probably the recruiting stuff. I really learned a lot about just recruiting at, when I was a GA at Tennessee, and I was the GA that was kind of helping out with sending mail outs and sending stuff recruiting wise. And so just really gave a great perspective then about the recruiting is the lifeblood of a program, and you got to do it every day. There's an old saying, if it's like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you can start looking a little scruffy. And I think recruiting's the same way. Like I really learned that aspect of there.
Now, from there, you stopped at Wofford, but then you go all the way across the country to Santa Clara. What was the culture change like going from the Southeast to way out on the West Coast?
Yeah, and that's the thing about coaching, right? Like you just never know where it's going to take you. Me and my wife had just got married, had an opportunity to go out west in Santa Clara in the WCC, which is a great basketball league. I would compare it to like the Atlantic 10 of the East. And at 27 years old, I thought it was just a great opportunity. And also, like I said, we're going to, as we didn't have a family at that time, but if we were going to do something like that, we were going to do it at that age and try something new. And learned a lot of basketball out west, saw a different part of the game, learned a lot of recruiting, connections, and just really got exposed to, the world of basketball. And so, really good experience out there with Kerry Keating.
Now, what prompted you back east, and what was that feeling like coming back to the Southeast?
Well, me and my wife are from this area. She's from South Carolina. I'm from Tennessee. And so, we just had our first child, our daughter, Emery. And so at that point, we've been out there 6 years. At that point, it became a priority to move back this way, to be close to family. Wofford was somewhere I was familiar with, that I'd worked at. And so the opportunity came to be the associate coach and work for a terrific coach in Mike Young. And so it was an opportunity to come back home and be at a place and with someone I was familiar with.
Now, from there, you came, from Wofford, you went to Presbyterian. You were you led one of the biggest turnarounds I'd ever seen, going from an 11-win season to a 20-win season. Now, most importantly, February 15, 2018 was your last win of your first year at Presbyterian. You beat High Point by 7 points. Did you know at that point what was coming as far as being able to turn the team around?
No, and I think that's an excellent question. I think that, you just bloom where you're planted. And I think that for me, I went to Presbyterian thinking, knowing that it was a tall mountain to climb. And it was a day at a time. I thought the good days would add up. But at that point, no, I wasn't thinking that. I think that we really hit in the recruiting aspect that's following spring with some guys like Adam Flagler and Corey Hightower and Chris Martin and Cody Schubert. And, we had really good team coming back with Devon Bell and Francois Lewis and Romeo Crouch and J.C. Younger. And so I think that we were able to hit on the recruiting trail that spring and really add some really good talent and some pieces.
The hallmarks of that team was the ability to not just score, but to be able to take care of the ball. Looking back, does that second year at Presbyterian kind of lead you to where you are now as far as being able to develop your own coaching philosophy?
Yeah, and I think that one thing that I'm always doing, I'm always married to our players instead of our system. And I think that we had a team that year that could really, really shoot the ball, but also, like you said, Devon Bell, who, was top 5 in the country in assist turnover ratio. So like we not only could shoot it, we took care of it. And, I will say that year, the Big South, which is a really good league, it's changed a little bit now, but was just outstanding. You had Chris Clemens at Campbell. You had Charleston Southern was really good. You had Radford, which was very good. Winthrop, Tubby Smith at High Point. It was a really, really strong conference. Longwood was on the rise, as where they are now. And so I think that we had a good team. Gardner Webb, always very good. I think that we had a good team, but we also were in a good conference. I think that year the Big South finished the highest as a league that it has in a number of years. And so we were good in a good league.
Now, when we come back from break, I want to talk about your path out in Boone and kind of where you see the Mountaineers headed, not just this season, but kind of the long road. But that's after break. You're listening to the Agile Podcast on the FPC Radio Network.
Exotica, the nation's largest adult event, is back and bigger than ever. Exotica, presented by My Free Cams, returns to the Dulles Expo Center December 1st through 3rd. Meet 250 stars, shop 150 vendors, see live seminars and stage shows. VIP ticket holders get lots of free stuff and access to after parties. Ladies are free on Friday. Tickets on sale at exoticaexpo.com. That's exoticaexpo.com. Catch the biggest Exotica yet, December 1st through 3rd.
We are back with Agile Podcast. Terrance Biggs, Dustin Kerns, the head men's basketball coach at Appalachian State University. Coach, 2-part question. When you accepted the job at App State, what crossed your mind first, and how'd you celebrate?
Man, another good question. I think that, looking back, this is the closest I've been to home in my entire coaching career. I've always had an admiration for App State. I've always had an admiration for this community growing up near here. I think that it's a great college town. It's a great university with great academics. And it was a very similar situation that I just took over at Presbyterian. There had been a long period of not success. And so we just experienced that. And so that gave me confidence. Okay, we just went through this at Presbyterian and turned it around. We can go turn it around here. And I don't really know if I remember having time to celebrate. I remember, sharing the news with our staff, which I brought our entire staff with me, which is a very big part and critical into, part of our success is having that continuity and alignment. But I remember that was probably a way to celebrate, was just share with our staff that they were getting a promotion. They were getting a great new job and opportunity. But it was very fast moving. And, so some of those first couple months here was really a blur.
Now, when we look at the Sun Belt as a conference, it is one of the most fun, entertaining conferences, just regardless of sport. What makes the Sun Belt so entertaining regardless of sport? Is it the culture that is fostered by the schools themselves or just the level of play?
Well, it's fun for a fan. I know it's not too much fun for a coach. I think it's just filled with great coaches and great players. And, there's 14 in all sports, there's 14 dogs fighting for one bone. And there's a lot of really good institutions. There's a lot of really good administrators that are pumping a lot into their programs in all sports. There's a lot of schools trying to win, and a lot of schools trying to improve facilities, and a lot of schools trying to figure out, how to move to the top league. So I think that's what makes it tough, in the sense there's a lot of investment by a lot of people, and so it's challenging. And there's a lot of good players. There's a lot of good coaches that recruit really well, and so. I think when you look at like a Big 12 or a Big 10, you just think of, wow, like everybody's good. That's the way I feel about the Sun Belt. And I said, I think from top to bottom, from the leadership, from the coaches, the administrators to the players, like everybody's good. And it makes it very competitive.
You have two players in C.J. Huntley and Terrance Harkham who have been with App State for multiple years. What is it about the App State culture that has not just made them improve, but kind of been able to build a team with such veteran leadership?
Yeah, and you can add Donovan Gregory there as good as his fifth year. And so, Xavier Brown's in his fourth year. So we've had a lot of guys that have been in our program, which is very good, right? And I think that this goes back to the character of them and their families. We've got good kids with good parents and good families. We've got a really good university. We've got, professors and leadership here and a chancellor that really cares and really just has a really good environment on campus. And so I think that's many things. It's a good community. They feel welcome. I just think there's a lot of things that go into, our players that have stayed and helped build this culture in our program.
You mentioned your guard in Donovan Gregory. He's a player who, like I said, is his fifth year. He, from film, says that he does a little bit of everything. Have you seen a player recently that can just take over a game, not just on the offensive side, but be able to distribute, be able to rebound, and to defend? Because the one steal a game is a lot, especially if you are definitely counting on to actually be a scorer as well.
Yeah, he's a jack of all trades, like he's good at everything. I compare him to like a Draymond Green in a sense. He's a mismatch nightmare. But also he can score, he can rebound, he can assist, he can steal, he can defend multiple positions. And so I think that he's, he can do a lot of different things.
Now, looking towards the Sun Belt schedule, are there any games that you circle as far as kind of a litmus test game for the Mountaineers, or do you just take every game like this is a conference game and it matters?
Yeah, I think that we're very process oriented, and so the Sun Belt schedule is so far, so far away right now from me. I think we've got UNC Wilmington and Murray State coming up. We've got Austin Peay. We've got East Tennessee State. We've got Auburn. And so like I'm trying to focus just on how to get our team better today, and I really try to get our team to think that way too. Like, let's just live in the moment. Let's think about how we can get better today.
Now, you mentioned this schedule. You played Oregon State on Tuesday, where it was a close overtime loss. But from what you saw, it's the ability to come back and to be able to push. What was your takeaway from that game?
Yeah, I think we were able to fight back and get it to overtime. I think that we've done that over our time here and been consistently a team that fights back and never. It's hard to put us away. I think that what we learned is we've got to clean some stuff up on both ends of the floor and just keep improving. But the next step is we've got to learn how to close out those games and win those games.
When you're not on the court or recruiting, how do you get away from the game?
Well, that's a great question. I think that I'm a dad. I've got two kids. I'm a husband. And so basketball is what I do. It's not who I am. And so I really try to spend time with family. I like to play golf, but right now there's no golf season. But in the off season, or I should say the spring, summer, there's really no off season. I do like to get out there and play golf some, especially in this area. There's so many great courses and things. But just whether it's just, watching a movie with my wife, recharging, playing a board game with our kids. They're in the board games and things like that, or a video game. Like I try to, that's the way I kind of get away.
Is there one particular shot that you can think of off the top of your head that you can kind of tell a story of how you made it and how surprised you were?
Could you say that again?
Is there one particular shot that you can remember off the top of your head that you can kind of tell the story of how you made it and how surprised you were that the ball went in?
No, a long time ago. I'm trying to think.
On the golf course.
Oh, on the golf course. Oh, I was
Yes.
thinking of my basketball career.
No.
You know what? I've never made a hole in one. I've been close a couple times. Not by, I think probably more by luck than anything. But probably, yes, this is a good one. So I was out there when I was at Tennessee Tech. Me and Steve Payne, G.G. Smith, Scott Cherry were all on staff. So it ended up being 4 Division I head coaches on the staff. We went out to play. And the very first hole, I'm riding with G.G. Smith. And the very first hole, I hit a 7-iron, I remember, up a hill. And Gigi was like, man, I think that's going to be close. And but I go up there, can't find the ball, and it's in the hole. I got an eagle. So I started off my round with a 2 on a par 4, and that was my very first eagle. And but it was just it was all downhill from there. But I do remember that shot. Hitting it in from about 160 out, but didn't get to actually see it. But playing around with 4 future Division I head coaches was pretty cool.
Now, being so close to where you grew up, is there one particular food that you can actually go back to Kingsport and grab on a regular, or would you want to have them delivered? What's one food from home that you miss more than anything?
Powell's. Absolutely easy question. Powell's. If you've never been to Powell's, I recommend going to Powell's. There's a lot of good choices, but when I'm back in that area or we recruit, I always stop at Powell's.
What's on your plate?
I get a peach tea, light ice, and probably going to go chipped ham with cheese, and a Frenchie fries with it, is that's what they call it.
What's on the dessert plate?
Powell's is known for milkshakes. And they've got different flavors, but yeah, that's I'm definitely going to go to Powell's.
Last question: as a Division I, the Division I basketball coach now, could you at 18 play for you, the coach now?
I think so, because I think that the role that I played as a player helped me become a coach, because I really, try to have that perspective, and I try to feel like that, give guys confidence. So I think so. I think that obviously the older you get, you have a little bit more perspective and things like that. And, do I wish I would have worked a little bit harder? Do I wish I would have done this? And that? Yeah, right. But I do think that.
The head men's basketball coach at Appalachian State University, Dustin Kerns. Coach, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Ad Drop Podcast.
Terrance, thank you, and thanks for all you do for college basketball and coaches and football. I mean, everything you do for the sports world. It's an honor to be on here.
Thank you, Coach.
Exotica, the nation's largest adult event, is back and bigger than ever. Exotica, presented by My Free Cams, returns to the Dulles Expo Center December 1st through 3rd. Meet 250 stars, shop 150 vendors, see live seminars and stage shows. VIP ticket holders get lots of free stuff and access to after parties. Ladies are free on Friday. Tickets on sale at exoticaexpo.com. That's exoticaexpo.com. Catch the biggest Exotica yet, December 1st through 3rd.